Your Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs from France, and now my friend, His Excellency Ambassador Fanon, His Excellency Ambassador Molekane, Excellencies, honorable guests, colleagues, we bid you all a warm welcome to South Africa, those who have just come in, and our officials are welcome to DIRCO. South Africa and France share interests and common values, including the promotion of peace and security, human rights, basic human values, democracy, the rule of law, and sustainable development. These interests and values and common objectives are underpinned by a strategic bilateral, regional, and multilateral relationship. In addition to the AU-EU partnership, the EU-SADC partnership, and the United Nations, G20, and so forth, we manage these structured relations through a forum of political dialogue. A joint economic commission, a joint committee on science and technology, a strategic defense commission, and as well as various bilateral relations through expert committees that we have before us here on environment and a number of other matters. Honorable Minister, all of these, amongst others, will form part of our deliberation today. They will be reporting back to us on this, the 8th Forum for Political Dialogue, the first to be held at the ministerial level, and we are very proud of the process so far, and we are hoping that this will be a very successful session. Today we will review and confirm the direction of existing programs and agreements, and also identify new opportunities which both our governments can explore. We will be receiving reports from our experts here. I trust our discussions will also support our pragmatic view and confirmation of the future structure for bilateral interaction through the FPD in order to make it fit for purpose in the 21st century. Your Excellency, you may recall that following agreements during the 2016 state visit to France, a decision was taken to elevate the existing FPD structured bilateral consultation between ourselves, South Africa, and France from Director General to our level. And they did very well because we've become very good friends, Minister. I'm glad you're here. I'm convinced that by closure today, we would have committed ourselves to the strengthening of our bilateral and political relations and the consolidation of existing areas of cooperation, that we would have identified new areas also of cooperation in line with our interests and values and common objectives, with a view to increased collaboration, both with regard to opportunities and challenges in bilateral, regional, and global issues. Minister, I wish you and all of us here a fruitful day, fruitful deliberations, and I hope that by the time we conclude this session, Minister, you will realize that coming to South Africa was worth every minute that you spent with us. Welcome.
Thank you very much, my dearest Lindiwe. It's a great pleasure to be here today. And I would like to apologize to those who've been waiting in the plenary room. We had so much to talk about together bilaterally, and we spoke about so much. Quite frankly, I think we only addressed half the issues. So I think that that leaves us something to talk about for our following meetings. But I was pleased to note that we shared so many common views on many issues, and not only on our common interests, but reciprocity with regards to our various actions, and our belief in the fundamental values of democracy, multilateralism, and all of this in the framework of multilateralism, as I said, that we are wanting to strengthen, and we are going to be working together on the United Nations Security Council, And you yourselves are preparing to preside over the African Union. We are currently presiding over the G7, and we have invited President Ramaphosa for the month of August to France, and we are preparing the France-South Africa summit for 2020. And we have moved on to a new level for the Forum for Political Dialogue, and we took a decision today that during the state visit we were going to raise our partnership to an even greater level, and we have had intense discussions about a diverse number of topics, and they have really revealed the importance of our partnership and our relationship. And I am sure that my visit here to South Africa will open up further dialogue and friendship between us. And so without further ado, I would like to thank you very, very much for hosting us, and we can move forward with the program.
By inviting both the ministers for some remarks, I will hand over firstly to Minster Sisulu.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Minister Drian, and members of your respective delegations, Your Excellencies, and the experts that we have with us. Let me start by expressing my sincerest appreciation to you, Minister, my colleague and now friend, for such a stimulating and fruitful interaction that took the entire day, and especially for considering that you just literally got off the plane and came straight to this meeting. Your commitment is truly appreciated. Your presence in South Africa for these deliberations has afforded us the opportunity to host and give expression to the decision taken by our presidents back in 2016 to elevate the forum of political dialogue to the level of the executive. We trust you have found this engagement fruitful, and that your journey towards our beautiful country will be an enjoyable one. Allow me, therefore, to thank the officials on both sides, both the French officials who are here and experts, and our South African officials who are here and have taken time to prepare for this meeting, for the work that they have done and the inputs that they have put in. They have been expertly put across, and for their participation in assisting us to navigate our ambitious agenda today and allowed us to renew the strategic direction to our bilateral relations. It is imperative then that we now move forward together and combine our efforts towards ensuring a better world, a secure future, a successful South Africa, a successful France, and Africa and Europe. And now it has been declared a future where there will be equality between women, Minister. As we deliberate our way forward with respect, we will coexist peacefully with dignity and sustain each other and secure the future of our children. We look forward to working with you successfully to implement the way forward that we have agreed to and signed on today, and look forward to meeting you in Paris on the 9th Forum of the Political Dialogue, whenever it shall be at your request, Minister. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Minister. We'll now invite Minister Drian to deliver.
Bien, Mesdames, Messieurs, aux côtés de mon homologue Lindiwe Sisulu, je viens de présider le forum de dialogue franco-sud-africain qui, comme elle vient de le rappeler, ne s'était jamais tenu à un niveau ministériel. C'est donc une première.
That is taking place on a ministerial level, and this shows our desire to strengthen our existing relationship. France and South Africa share the belief that the enormous challenges that we are faced with today require strong partnerships such as ours in order to find concrete solutions. And it is in this sense that we are working together on climate change to respond to the climate emergency that we are faced with, from COP17 in Durban in 2011 to COP21 in France in 2015, and that led, of course, to the Paris Accord. It is also the nature of our common commitment to multilateralism. And this multilateralism is being put into question today. And we want to work together to solidify and strengthen multilateralism in the world, particularly in the Security Council of the United Nations, where we are both going to be working together to preserve what is important, an international order that is based on law, peaceful resolution of differences, the respect for human rights, and the principles of democracy. And we are working together as well on peace and security on the African continent, for African economic growth, and the fight against poverty. And in the months to come, we are going to be continuing these various projects, working together in the G20, in the G7, the G7 that France is presiding over at the moment. And we are counting on South Africa to help us in reducing inequalities in the world and to fight against the new threats to democracy. So these are some of the subjects that we have discussed together today, because France wants to have a broad and very diverse dialogue with South Africa on various topics, including security, the crises in the Middle East, the challenges of non-proliferation. We spoke about European issues as well. And we also focused on our bilateral relationship. And to this effect, we managed to discuss many fields of cooperation: development, education, culture, research, economy, cybersecurity. And I am so delighted to see all the future projects that are arriving day by day. For example, the recent discovery by Total of a very large gas field off the South African coast. And Total is just one of 400 French companies that have decided to work in South Africa and develop economies and who employ many South Africans. And I would like to mention the French Development Agency that is going to be working with the IDC and is providing a lot of financial support to the IDC. We're going to be visiting an NGO in Khayelitsha tomorrow, Waves for Change, and they are helping the youth from disadvantaged neighborhoods, are many. And we also have cooperation between our space agencies, and we are also going to be signing an agreement for co-productions in the film and audiovisual industry. And we also expressed our desire to strengthen cooperation between South Africa and France in the Indian Ocean region, especially around Reunion and Mayotte. And there's an agreement that was recently signed between Sand Parks and the National Park of Reunion Island. There will also be another cooperation agreement signed between the National Sharks Board of South Africa and the CRA, particularly with regards to sharks and the management of sharks and shark attacks. But all of that in the context of preserving the biodiversity of our two countries. And France and South Africa are really united in terms of many strategic agreements, and it allows us to respond together to all the great challenges of our time. And I would at this point like to say to my dear Lindiwe what great admiration I had for your parents, Albertina and Walter. They have played such an enormous part in the history of this country. And I would also like to remember Nelson Mandela. I'm going to be visiting Robben Island during my stay, and I'm going to honor him and all those who fought against apartheid when I visit. So, Giyabonga, thank you very much for hosting us.